Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's fireside. So excited to have you. I am Christine Sullivan, the VP of Product at LinkSquares, and we're here today to talk AI Demystified, how LinkAI transforms contract processes. For those on the call who are less familiar, here at LinkSquares, we are proud to be a market-leading AI-powered contract management platform. And from the days of 2015, we were the first to use AI to power contract management, starting with Analyze, our AI powered post signature repository. And just within the past few weeks, we've recently announced LinkAI, our next gen of our cutting edge AI engine, fueling our platform on the back end and empowering major value and efficiency gains for over thousands of our customers. So today it's going to be a really value add, super impactful, lively discussion. We're going to talk about LinkAI and how it accelerates value at every stage of the contract process. And we're also going to talk about AI in general, the latest trends, and how AI is being applied in real world contexts within legal ops and contracting scenarios. So lots of great discussion, and I'm very excited to be joined today by Andrew Leveroni, LinkSquare's Chief Product Officer, Sean Lindsay, our SVP of Engineering, Kim Samalis, the lead contract manager at OutSystems, one of our amazing customers, and Ashley Jones, LinkSquare's commercial counsel. So super excited to have these amazing panelists join us, some of whom I work with very closely every single day. And incredibly excited to hear from Kim, one of our super valued customers and a user throughout our platform to date, and who's going to talk a bit of how she's thinking about using LinkSquares in the future. So with that, we're going to kick into gear and really use this hour for what it's worth, meant to be fireside amongst the panelists, and then end it with Q&A. So with that, I will start with a question to all of the panelists in terms of what excites you most about AI and legal tech today, or specific to CLM. And Andrew, given that you and I talk about this every day, I'd love to start with you and talk to the group here about your thoughts on this. What's exciting you the most?
Yeah, I think as it relates specifically to legal, I mean, I think there's a lot of exciting things happening with AI, right? From creative endeavors and photo generation and video generation. But I think, at the core of legal is language, right? Contracts. And I think that's an area where large language models, generative AI, from an applicability sense, it lends itself really well. So I think there are some flashy kind of statements about the future of AI and things that it can do, but I think that there is some real value that can actually be delivered as it relates to AI, helping with the contract language problem space.
Yeah, it's a super excited time and exciting time, as you said, and also one where we're thinking of real world applicability. And I think, Kim, hearing from you as a customer and as someone in our product every day who's also thinking about AI and the utilization in your work more broadly, what about from your perspective as a LinkSquares customer?
Yeah, thank you, Christine, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. What really excites me most about AI in our CLM is being able to stay ahead of risk. Some ways we can do this is by using the automated tracking flags. This allows us to run reports on things like how many agreements do we have that include termination for convenience. I also really like being able to track all of the different types of agreements that our team works on by quickly running reports. For example, we can track how many MSAs or NDAs we work on in a particular quarter, and in maybe how long it takes us to negotiate off of our paper as opposed to customer paper. And I think this type of data puts our department in a great position by allowing us to show our team's impact on the business, spot potential risks, and plan for growth.
Awesome. I think to follow on to that, Ashley, at LinkSquares, you're also using the product every day. And I know from our own conversations, we've also participated in panels together in the past. You have a lot of thoughts on AI as it relates to legal tech, as it relates to CLM, as it relates to your work. Would love to also hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think overall, what I'm most excited about AI in legal tech and CLM is really the efficiency gain, because there are two things we never have enough of as legal counterparts and product counterparts. I mean, anywhere across the business, those two things are time and energy. So if I can leverage AI to increase the speed with which I can complete tasks while not increasing the mental, physical, and emotional energy, because like let's face it, some negotiations and some tasks are just more taxing than others. I think that that's really huge and a really big value add, not just for my team, but across the business, and it can be felt across the business.
Totally. And hear you on any type of efficiency is good efficiency, especially as we're thinking about innovation. And I think that segues really quite well as Sean and I are getting some very active user and customer feedback. But Sean, as you're literally thinking about the world of AI within legal, you as sitting within the engineering seat as our leader there, would love to hear your thoughts on what's exciting you most about AI and legal tech.
Thanks, Christine. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. The real joy of the work that I'm doing is I get to try to lay the road ahead of all the hard work and the challenges that you all are trying to plow through every day. And part of that in a market where the technology is evolving so quickly and the headlines are popping every day is to make sure that we're evaluating the difference between the hype and the real applicable value. And so for me, as I see the power of some of these new patterns, what agent technology and the opportunities for automation, workflows into the greater enterprise, helping you bring the legal work into the larger enterprise business processes and make sure that we're using the technology to really help you do your jobs in more effective, intent-oriented ways is a super exciting moment for me and really an exciting part of why I'm so, overjoyed about the roadmap that we have ahead here at LinkSquares and the opportunity for all of you.
Likewise. Sean, with that, I think maybe just to go get your point of view of based upon where we're headed next, what's exciting you, even to just give a quick overview to everyone on the line today about how AI has evolved over the last few years.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure like everybody on this call, we're at least generally aware of, AI has filled our headlines. It's a huge part of what we see in the business world today. It's interesting to imagine that the technologies that we're talking about today have been around in some form for decades, literally. But for a very long time, somewhere at the intersection of complexity and then the lack of computing power to really apply a lot of these concepts kind of held them at bay. And there have been, prior fits and starts. But I would say, 10, 12 years ago, you first started to see real application of these technologies to solve problems, particularly in our case, business problems. And so some of the early kind of nascent notions that you saw as we began tinkering with AI were around document processing, information extraction, predictive AI techniques. Fast forward a couple of years and you see the emergence of generative AI and the power of large language models, which I'm sure many of our participants here today recognize as part of their ability to draft or even analyze contract content more effectively and more efficiently. You then see kind of a next wave as the large language business models with ChatGPT and Claude and others become consumer available of co-pilots and augmented thought partnership chat experiences. And I think you see kind of the next wave coming if you're, living at least as a lot of folks on the technology side here at LinkSquares are in the next couple footfalls to come of agents, agentic technology, and system autonomy and integration. So it's been a really incredible accelerating arc of opportunity as well as like real practical breakthroughs in technology. And the joy of our job is figuring out how to turn those into real value that helps you all do your work more effectively and more efficiently.
100%. And I think as we think about that application, really, as Sean's mentioning, we're so forward looking, but also where we announced LinkAI, again, we have this rich history in being an AI powered contract management platform. I think, Andrew, going back to like what already today in terms of key examples of how predictive AI or natural language search or other AI that's already embedded within LinkSquares or what we're net innovating on. Can you give some examples of how AI is being leveraged today and works within LinkSquares?
Yeah, and it sort of mirrors some of the evolution Sean was just talking about, because as Sean said, we've been at this for a while and in parallel building a business along the exciting path that technology has been taking. But really back to, when the company first began, I've been here for a while. I've been at LinkSquares since 2017. And back then, like the frontier and what we were doing, a lot of green space, going after a lot of green space as it relates to information extraction. So that was using predictive artificial intelligence. For those of you that are familiar with our product, that materializes in what we call smart values. And really uncovering like key dates, parties involved in contracts, being able to run reports and filter and sort and find things easy, right? So that's been kind of like the bread and butter and hallmark like value of LinkSquares, where we do a lot better than others trying to go after similar use cases. And then yeah, as things have evolved, leveraging large language models, generative AI in our product today, we see that in the form of drafting, redlining in our finalized product. Specifically, most of it lives in our Word add-in. We also have some document summarization that's happening on the post-signature side. Playbooks are a part of that. You can build playbooks, which actually help inform, a large language model to help you do drafting and redlining. So that's been really cool. Beyond that, kind of like in the lab behind the scenes, we're working on the back of LinkAI and some of the new architecture, infrastructure pieces that we put in place, which we're super excited about, is to really go deeper on the search problem and do it in a way that nobody else can. I think there are some common misconceptions about generative AI and why can't you just chat GPT this or that, and those are, and I'm sure Sean will, sure as the conversation goes on, we'll touch on this a couple times. The name of this talk, demystifying AI, right? I think there's a common misconception that these broad spectrum models can do everything, right? And they're really shallow, right? They're kind of like mile wide, inch deep, and we're really excited about the stuff that we've already built behind the scenes to do things like natural language search and really elevate the search that we have in our product today. So that's a little bit of stuff that's there and stuff that's there, but maybe not available to everybody yet.
Yes, coming soon, coming attractions. There's so much more we're excited about sharing in really short time horizons, and sitting in a product seat, working with Andrew and working with Sean, and then working with Ashley on our internal legal team as they test out some of these net new offerings that are going to be coming out the door. It's a very exciting time and really building off of LinkAI, that next gen, to take us into the future. It's just a whole world of ideation and innovation within LinkSquares now. So to get the perspective of Ashley and team, our internal LinkSquares legal team, they are constantly in the product now. I actually, fun fact, prior to joining LinkSquares, was a customer myself, working with my legal team at my former business, who was using LinkSquares every day as well. But Ashley, in terms of you and the internal legal team, how is LinkAI integrating into your legal workflows, and how are you seeing specific improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I just want to say I love that fact, Christine.
Yeah,
Link Squad really runs deep, that's for sure.
runs deep.
Um, but Link AI really flows seamlessly into our legal workflows right now. I know Andrew mentioned the word add-in, and that's something we leverage very heavily on a day-to-day basis. And one feature I really want to discuss specifically is our drafting rules and how that has really impacted the efficiency of our team internally. Because we all know reviewing third-party paper, it can be rough, and third-party NDAs come across the legal team's desk more times than we'd like, I'm sure. And what we've done is we've transitioned our playbook into the drafting rules within the Word add-in, which has really increased the speed in which we can identify problem clauses, as well as quickly leverage the AI-assisted redlining within that functionality to respond quickly and efficiently based off of our pre-approved language that we would like to use. So I think it really has manifested itself in really impactful improvements, going from an hour to review a third party paper NDA to really cutting that down to 30 minutes. If that, when I'm able to really focus in on the problems, yes, I'm still going top to bottom, but when I can hit those really high risk areas quickly and leverage the AI assist to help me sometimes weed through some really wordy language in agreements is really impactful and has helped me be efficient in the review, but also in my like calendar and time blocking throughout the day where I can see if all of my drafting rules are hitting flags, I might need more time to review this agreement and I can give my internal stakeholders a heads up with regard to that, which really bolsters the legal team's value, collaboration, cross functionally, and has really improved our review and connection throughout the business.
Awesome. And yeah, just to note to customers on the call, Ashley obviously spoke to a lot of functionality and value adds we have within the word add-in. We're actually going to be having an upcoming webinar on that as well. So more details to come, but stay tuned for that. I would say that if you're not using that functionality to date, as Ashley already spoke to, our team's like using it to the nth degree, and we have other customers as well where it's been super impactful. We want to get people more ingrained there, get up on it, see ways that we can get customer feedback in terms of ways we can make that really as value add as Ashley and team are describing. But I think, as we talk about all of the value that AI is driving, that LinkAI is driving in workflows, I think it's also really helpful to talk about specific problems that were going on before the implementation of LinkSquares or the leveraging of LinkSquares AI engine, LinkAI. And so, Kim, I may just turn it to you to be like, prior to you implementing LinkSquares and using it day to day, what specific problems was your team facing prior to that implementation?
Yeah, so one problem we face periodically is getting multiple customer paper reviews at one time. Typically, this happens during quarter end, and we're really in a time crunch to get them reviewed. Before we implemented LinkSquare's AI engine, if this happened, we get really bogged down. And I mean, reviewing customer paper, it is super time consuming. And now that we have LinkSquares, the speed in which we can review customer paper has significantly changed this experience. We can almost instantly tell if we can work off of the customer's paper or not, and then we can start those conversations with our sales team and the customer days earlier, which saves so much time in our contract negotiation cycles.
Yes, this is what I love to hear. Save time in contract negotiation cycles. Huge for everyone here. Huge of what we're trying to deliver in terms of product value day over day, and obviously really proud of what we offer to date and what's to come. I think, Ashley, anything else to add in terms of problems you and our internal team, or even on other business contexts and work experiences you were seeing prior to using LinkSquares or using AI-driven tools?
Yeah, absolutely. So before joining LinkSquares, I was on a legal team that had no CLM. So all of those pain points that Kim just mentioned, I know very well. And I think just having that overall efficiency improvement with the introduction of LinkSquares and now with the AI tools have really up leveled my skill set as an attorney, my ability to think outside of the box, especially leveraging AI assist. I'm able to get more creative with some of my explanatory comments or some of the redlining that I'm doing. And I know I mentioned drafting rules earlier, but one little hack I have is if you're leveraging our product, you're leveraging drafting rules, and you're not sure where to start there, leverage the AI assist to help you create those drafting rules, help you fine tune them. Let the AI kind of help you better use the AI. It's a tool, and it can really increase your ability to understand what it can do for you and increase the efficacy of those drafting rules, which has been a really fun task for me to do. I admit I may have a little bit of time blocked on my calendar to have my AI assist chats.
I love it. And I would say that, yeah, as we, users talking to users and getting those hot tips or best practices is really important for us as we think about really building a community among our customers. And also, this is where, again, Sean and I and the teams we work with, really want to get your feedback and hear like what is a barrier to adoption? How can we make this more streamlined? How can we also educate and help provide additional context for either our feature functionality or, again, literally the point of this call, how can we talk about AI both in the practical application, but also talk about it in terms of trends and where we're going and where LinkSquares sees not just ourselves in the future, but also the marketplace of legal tech and of broader tech as well. So keep feedback coming in. We're really here for you to get the value out of the product, and we want to engage with you if there's any ways that we can really just make that as quick and accelerate that as possible. I do think this like fits really well into talking about, I think efficiencies come up a lot, ways to, again, leverage the AI to unlock value within the product unto itself. But I think, Sean, just going into a topic that's been really important for us, really, again, since that 2015 space, but in terms of thinking about how AI and LinkSquares, how are we enhancing accuracy and efficiency from your point of view as the SVP of engineering?
Yeah, so Andrew sort of foreshadowed some of my thinking here. The Probably most of the folks that have joined us here today are familiar with some of the most marketed large language models, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or DeepSeek or Llama, whatever your sort of preferred technology or tool might be. And these are all what we call horizontal AI solutions, meaning they're designed to be very universal and, as Andrew said, kind of wide but shallow, right? When we think about how to apply AI technologies to build capabilities and solutions to support your work, we really think in a much more vertical sense. So if you think of vertical AI in contrast to horizontal AI, we're really trying to focus on legal specific applications of these technologies. And then how do we enhance and improve how the AI is working to solve the actual problems that you deal with? So, I could certainly ask ChatGPT, what I should have for lunch, and it's going to be about as prescriptive to that if I asked, hey, what do you think of the quality of this contract I've just been handed to review? What we've done, by contrast, is we've gone much deeper in first understanding how to index legal documents, really understanding the semantics, the structure, the terminology, the language, even some of the specific terms and elements. Andrew alluded before, we know that parties and dates and some of the specific key terms that exist in your agreements really drive a lot of the work that you do every day. And so we've done a ton of innovative work to refine and target some of these specific legal concepts so that we build a much stronger index of your data. Now, this has multiple benefits, the first being that we increase accuracy, but by building this intelligent index, we can now expand the search context or the context window that we can apply and increase or augment the search to improve accuracy. So even if you wanted to say, ChatGPT, it's good enough, at best, it can maybe analyze 5 to 10 documents at a time. We can ingest tens of thousands of documents, accept documents in real time that are being added into your repository, new documents that you're drafting, documents that are being posted into the platform by other members of your team, and in real time analyze, search, index, acquire, interrogate, and get you answers across that entire living repo of all of your details. The last piece being, there's a lot of interesting things somebody could do that would look very flashy from a marketing perspective to sort of say, oh, we took an existing LLM and we sort of bolted it on to your document editor or your file repository. Because we've been in this market now for over 10 years and have thousands of customers and, probably, I don't even know the latest number, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of agreements, we have learned over time some of the very nuanced, sometimes messy, sometimes complicated aspects of the real paper and the real agreements that you work with every day. And those have allowed us to build a really rich, deep set of benchmarks so that as we deploy these new technologies, we're not just vetting them against the internet of knowledge, but an actual empirical set of real contract data and real contract that we can process to make sure that we're helping you and your teammates get the best possible leverage out of the AI technology that they're using today.
Amazing, Sean. As people probably just can tell, the degree to which Sean, our data science team, our product team, our engineering and architecture teams are really looking at, the pure technology, but really that context piece and how we think about as it fits within LinkSquares and it fits within legal techs and our in the use cases of our customers. We're really just so tremendously excited again to net build off of what we have to date and really accelerate over the course of this next year into the future, with LinkAI being fundamentally that next gen of the engine behind the scenes. And just a lot more to come as we're, again, looking out into the market at what's going on and really filling value add into our product development roadmap. In terms of uh, in terms of excuse me, there actually one question coming in, which is it are contracts submitted through the platform itself or entered by the legal team? Ashley, maybe even just to answer from your perspective, like what are you doing to date? I could answer that from the product side, but um, how would you answer that in relation to what the team's doing?
Yeah, absolutely. We find that contracts being submitted to legal for review are often submitted by the actual requester itself. So whether that be our sales team, marketing team, product team, whoever it may be, is submitting their contracts through finalize to legal for review. Though, hey, there are times where I may have something that needs to be reviewed, and I have to pop that contract right into finalize myself or into analyze for saving and smart value pulling. But yeah, it kind of runs the gambit, but mostly going to be some of your third party internal stakeholders.
Yeah, and we on the product side, we make that ingestion, be it from initial onboarding where thousands of documents or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of documents might be coming into the system, as obviously not a manual process, but really allowing for different requesters and stakeholders in the business to get docs into the system, into the legal team, and also we're obviously legal as well, can also describe and prescribe how they want to manage their repository of documents coming in and who can do what within the system. Actually, I'm actually gonna like stay sticking with you as we talk about like again some of what our internal legal team's doing to date. But as we think about the future of AI and CLM, as we think about how AI tools are like LinkSquares, how it's shaping the future of legal research and contract management, obviously there's a lot there that lawyers and legal teams, legal ops, et cetera, and stakeholders that work within the legal capacity are thinking about in terms of those next big steps in terms of AI adoption or like ways to cross those next big steps. And curious in terms of what you see as those next big steps in terms of adoption of AI in legal practices.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, that paramount next big step is adoption of AI, right? And I think what's really impactful and important to get to that is to break that down into smaller steps.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those include joining webinars, literally like this one, and increasing your exposure to AI and AI related concepts because um, individuals in the legal sphere, we are naturally risk averse. We spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars to be very risk averse. So I think the more we know about AI, the better we are going to be able to see how its capabilities and functionalities can benefit us and to mitigate any of those risks that may pop out immediately just at the thought of leveraging artificial intelligence in your work. And on top of that, trying new tools out just to see what's out there and the functionality and capabilities, and trying to do this in your personal daily life too, because I think for attorneys or those in legal who are not leveraging any AI in their personal life, it's going to feel like a much larger jump to try to infuse AI into your legal workflows. So definitely trying to test things out in a more personal capacity to really build up that what I call AI confidence and see the capabilities and functionality. It'll allow you to have that broader vision and be able to translate those features and functions into efficiency gains within your personal work, and how your team could ultimately be positively impacted by AI, thereby positively impacting the business that you're working with.
Yeah, I love Ashley, and again, through our work together, and you've already talked about it just in the answer you just gave, as well as on the call, earlier in the call, of ways you're really thinking about here and now, staying on tops of trends and applicability, and like literally time boxing your schedule to really play around with the latest and the greatest. I think, Kim, going over to you in terms of zooming out a little bit, how are you envisioning AI transforming the way you're working, be it in the here and now, but also looking into like 3 years from 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Like what's on your mind as you're thinking a little further out?
Sure. I envision AI transforming the way that our team works in the future just by feeling, like Ashley was saying, feeling more confident in AI and using the tool to enhance our jobs. It's not going to take over our jobs, but just to enhance what we do. For example, we can draft smarter now in Microsoft Word with that add in. I really like using the Microsoft Word add in to obtain approvals in the task function simultaneously while I'm working on drafts. So I don't have to go back out into an email or go back out into a different interface. I can work within the document, and if something needs to be approved, I can just say, oh, I'm in this section. I get the approval from the proper stakeholder, and it really makes negotiations streamlined, allowing us to, close that length of our contract cycle. And also another thing I'm hoping is, like Ashley mentioned, creating the rules within our application so we can cut down on that redlining time. We're just starting to use that functionality, and so far it's been really great.
Awesome. That is awesome to hear, and excited for you to onboard to more of the functionality that's been released, and also very exciting to get you on board of functionality to come. I think that actually transitions quite well, Andrew, which I could wax poetic about this for quite some time, but I'm going to leave it to Andrew, our CPO, to give a sneak peek in terms of advancements you all can expect from LinkAI in the very, very, very near future.
Yeah, I think on the back of what Kim said, I think sort of table stakes is just the contract life cycle and making improvements there. We already have generative AI in that area of the product today, but I think like things around workflow automation and just increasing the efficiency even more. I think that there's a ton of opportunity for AI to take us even further than we are today, which is really exciting. I think some net new things though on top of that. One specifically is intake triage, whether that's intake of messages and communication coming at you through the business. I know you can set up a happy path in the application or set up a happy path in the form of like a procedure you want your business to take as far as it comes to requesting work from the legal team. We all know that folks in the business don't always take that happy path. So how can we kind of take all the paths, whether it's email, Slack, Teams, the form submission, your text message, phone calls, whatever. How can we take all that noise and actually you take an agentic approach to serve you up, prioritize work and help you avoid busy work and help you focus and organize that better. Also, intake as it relates to documents. So there's a lot of ways that documents can come in through the system. You could upload it yourself. It could be coming in through a Dropbox integration. It could be coming from Finalize. It could be coming from a signature tool. So I think that's another area that's ripe for, hey, the system just had 20 documents ingested today. How can we help you classify them, rename them, put them in the right place, and organize them for you? So I think there's a lot of area for triage work that we're thinking about. Now we already alluded to this, but something that's most near term that are mostly focused on right now as it relates to net new innovation is enhanced search and a deeper understanding of dates and parties and really going outside of the box of today. The predictive AI that we have really takes unstructured data, turns it into structured data, and it's great. You have columns and rows, and you can sort and filter. But being able to just use plain language to ask questions to your repository, which, like Sean alluded to, is actually very challenging to do. We're seeing some folks make claims around, chat GPT attached to this, and you can prompt and ask questions about your documents, but under the hood, that's actually very difficult to do. We've put a bunch of R&D and time into getting that right, and we do have a prototype we're using, and we've been getting some really exciting results out of it. So you'll see a lot more of that near term. And then more like kind of zooming out, a bigger thing that we're thinking about a lot is autonomy, right? A lot of the generative AI functionality, user value that you get today really depends on the user going in and prompting and doing things and knowing how to use the tool. But we see the next frontier being a world where the agents are actually working on behalf. So think of like an agent living in LinkSquares 24/7. Maybe you're waking up in the morning and the agent's delivering insights to you that maybe you didn't know how to or didn't even think to look for, whether that's like business risk with a customer or a vendor as it relates to real-time news that's happening. So that gets more, I'm a little bit more on the visionary side, but that's also something that, I know that wrapping the year when we were kind of reflecting and looking at 2025, we think 2025 is going to be ripe for all this stuff to come to life, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's already been a wild, as we're closing out Q1, it's already been a wild year internally in terms of some of these net new product development initiatives we have that we already have our internal legal team on. Like I said, we're going to be very, very soon sharing some of the first, and then that's going to just be followed with additional very exciting updates to the product to come. One thing I'll share in relation to what's also great about this as we think about natural language search, as we think about an agentic approach to AI coming into the product, is really also having an opportunity to net new provide really seamless user experiences and ways that, again, be it if you're interacting with natural language search or if the agent's there as a companion for you and taking some proactive actions on your behalf, really looking at a way that that is highlighted within the UI UX in a way that's making your experience of being in the product seamless, easy, modern, fresh, and again, places where we're very interested to get feedback as more rolls out in relation to if these new features are meeting your needs, how they're meeting your needs, and really exposing the power of the LinkAI engine to how it's going to surface in user experiences you'll be able to utilize, as well as use cases you'll be able to efficiently and effectively solve. And so even though I'm already proud to date of what we have in terms of how our Ashley and Kim talked about how it's gaining efficiency gains that are within our product to date. And what we're excited to talk with you all about is how that's even going to become just further accelerated with this innovation coming into the products. I do think that it would be great. Like we talked big, we talked about some of what we're really excited about coming down the line. And I think we want to acknowledge, and I think Ashley and Kim, you've already spoken a bit to this, but really acknowledging just ways in which we can share advice and provide tips of how to incorporate AI tools into legal workflows today. I do think we have covered this a bit, but would love to just give like a moment in terms of, Ashley, in terms of simple ways that teams can start using AI for especially repetitive legal tasks. I think when we think about efficiency gains, especially think about like how can we cut down on the repetition or going down wormholes that can be avoided. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big proponent to really infusing AI into these repetitive tasks is one, identifying what these repetitive tasks are, and probably starting off with ones that are lower in risk and require less oversight, so that you're able to see what the AI can accomplish for you with those regards. And maybe even starting with leveraging AI as a checkpoint or a viewer to test how it handles checking for some common things, and going about it, starting small and iterating from there. I think a lot of people want to leverage AI for their task, but think it has to be an all in, all or nothing commitment right out of the gate. And it really doesn't. And I think that mindset really holds us back from even starting in most cases. So definitely breaking that down into smaller steps. And I know I've talked about drafting rules, but I'll go back to that as an example. If that's something you're looking to leverage internally and you really are not sure where to start with one. you know, pick one clause that's commonly negotiated and pick that, create that drafting rule, and like I said, leverage the AI assist to like help you build that out. It doesn't have to all come from up here. And I think that's another blocker that stops us sometimes is we think we have to be AI pros. No, you can be an AI novice and still see that efficiency gain. So really starting small and iterating on those after you've identified where you think AI would be a good fit for those tasks within your team.
Awesome. And yeah, a question had come in on just acknowledging because we've talked a bit about where AI is positioned within Finalize and positioned within the Word add-in. If panelists are using that functionality to date, and as Ashley just mentioned, as Kim spoke to, OutSystems is just beginning to. So yes, and we're really excited to see that adoption across our customer base. And for anyone on the line where you're looking to adopt or get more information, as I mentioned, we're going to have a webinar not too far from now specific to these features as they exist within the Word add-in, but also where there's a parallel experience in Finalize, and would love to get more customers onboarded if you're not using it to date, or even just a refresher for people who are, and get your feedback in that upcoming webinar. I do think, as you're talking, Ashley, like some simple ways to start playing around with AI and using AI in your work. I think, Kim, it would be great to hear from you on any advice you'd give to teams or individuals where there's some hesitancy about adopting AI into your processes now.
Yeah, sure. AI really hasn't had a place in the legal field until recently, so I think it feels really unnatural to a lot of people to use a tool, but it really is a great tool to just enhance our job functions. We have some team members currently that are a little hesitant to use it, or it's just not part of their normal routine yet. So what I'm doing for our team is I'm working on this by showing, like during team meetings, showing different tips and tricks of what these AI tools can do, so that these my team can see the benefits of using the tools and increase efficiency across the board.
Amazing. I very similarly on the product team, because so much is changing so quickly, we're very similarly like, how can we make our work more efficient as we're obviously building AI powered features as well? What's going into the product, and also how can we adopt the latest of innovation and make sure we're having knowledge share is incredibly important, because there's news and new innovation really coming what feels like rapid fire week over week. So I think, with that and being really needing to look through like, okay, what is coming out and how to think about filterability and what you should look out for as you're evaluating tools. I think, Sean, getting your opinion of, what are the top 3 things that professionals should be looking at when they are making these evaluations on AI tools?
Yeah, I think a number of folks here have hinted at some of the things that really stand out to me. But the first thing is, I'm sure for many of you, not unlike myself, even though I live at a slightly different place in the process, um, there's just a lot. There's a lot happening, right? There's a lot emerging. There's a lot every day. There's new headlines. There's new technologies. There's claims of breakthroughs, new products being announced. And I think the way I would encourage everybody here to look at it, similar to the way I even look at it from my vantage point, is I'm really looking to choose tools and thereby choose partners who are providing a sense of partnership and thought leadership of where the technology is going and how it applies to the problems I'm trying to solve. So it's, well and good to read a headline about, somebody's indexed an extra, million data points in their large language model. That may sound interesting, but I'm much more compelled by someone who really understands the problems that I'm trying to solve and can give me a sense of the stepping stones, the journey that we're going to go on together as new parts of the technology evolve, as new industry changes, drive change back into the product, and how I can apply that. Some of that is to be a partner to help you learn, to help you, rapidly recognize how you can apply this so you can be a front runner in your business, but also making sure that they're helping you stay ahead of the technology and the innovations that are coming. The second thing I would look for is how AI is being applied in the product. To be quite blunt about it, we kind of alluded to it, but I'll put a fine point on the fact that as an engineer, it's not super hard to take something like ChatGPT and stick it on the side of a product. That's not particularly innovative. And as we discussed, not necessarily going to be very accurate or very effective. But if you really go a step deeper, even if someone embeds some large language models or some horizontal AI into their product, how are they actually creating a user experience, the part of the product that you touch every day that gives you visibility into how it's working, that shows you the degree of accuracy in the work it's producing, that helps you and your fellow users quickly build trust and confidence in the system. And there's a lot of interesting work that goes into getting that user experience right. I'm sure for those of you that are early adopters and have experimented, you've had the experience of an AI tool that you were using just sort of throw its hands up or give you a nonsensical, hallucinated response. And you don't really know why. And suddenly you now start to think the answers you thought were good answers maybe are just as nonsensical as the ones that obviously on the surface are. So you're really looking for somebody who's going to give you visibility so that you can gain rapid confidence in the solution. And the third thing I would look for is a very clear, upfront, first principle stance on security and governance. This technology is moving very quickly. It kind of operates in a way that's a little hard to put into simple language. And it would be very easy for someone to misuse, misapply, mistreat your highly sensitive, highly confidential, very, very precious IP and corporate data. And so security can't be a policy that's sort of pasted on the side of the box after the product is built. You really have to make sure that the system is designed with clear guidelines, clear policies, and an architecture that understands how to make sure that your data is protected throughout the life cycle.
Awesome. I think that just caps things so well in terms of thinking about that evaluation and being prepared for staying on top as you're thinking about adopting AI tools and how to really look into what's in the market and the decisions you're making associated with what makes sense for your business. Obviously, as Sean mentioned, those key principles that Sean outlined are incredibly important to us as we're thinking about the adoption of tools and the creation of tools internally, and incredibly important as we think about what we're offering to our customers, as well as what we're sharing with prospects who are looking to become customers of ours. Um, what's great news now is we have a bit of time for Q&A and would love for, if you have any questions, I would love to give people a place to ask questions. You can use the functionality within GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar, excuse me, and we can ask our panelists some of what's top of mind. All right, I have one here, and let's see. Okay, and maybe Ashley, if you could build off of some of the commentary that you've already given in relation to this, but all right, I'm going to read it out to the group. So the question is, are we close to the day when CLM AI can intake a new version from a counterparty, do a complete review, and suggested redline of the full document on its own so that a team member only has to validate the AI redline suggestions in order to flip that doc back to the counterparty?
Boy, do I have some good news for you. I know I've mentioned drafting rules probably ad nauseum during this, but that's what's so great about this feature is you build your drafting rules off of your playbook, right? When you run those drafting rules, it will flag those items in the agreement, but it will also suggest red lines to get you to your ideal state with the language and the concepts that you've put into your drafting rules. And when you look at those red lines, if you're like, yes, this is all good, I love it, there's this beautiful little check mark that you can click. And when you click that, those red lines are automatically inserted into the document. And you can just run down the list of those drafting rules and go through that. And what's great about that is you've got the control of the starting point of where that AI is going to suggest red lines by utilizing the rule itself. So it's not just guessing on what's going to make you happy in terms of reviewing a specific clause or red line that you've received. It's going off of what you've given it, that direction, and what your organization feels comfortable with. And I think it's just such a game changing feature because it's like I don't want to say set it and forget it because really we should be checking things very frequently. But once you set those rules, running them really speeds up the review process. And, I love the AI, the redlining, and being able to do exactly what you're asking within our tool today.
Awesome. All right, and next question, and I think this one potentially multiple panelists will have answers, but I'm especially thinking of our users on the call, Ashley and Kim. How do you suggest balancing the efficiency of AI automation with also being able to maintain that human touch in legal work? How do you think about it? How are you actually doing it today? What comes to mind for you?
I think one is the understanding that AI is not the end all be all of a contract review or a legal task, and building your workflow so that AI is acting as your support system, your legal intern, and knowing that when you do that review of your risk and your balancing, do what you would always do in that instance when you're thinking about leveraging an AI tool, and build in those human touch points where they're going to be necessary. Like there are certain things you may not want to leave to AI solely, of course. So make sure that you're building in that room to do that review, and understanding that AI right now is only as good as the human on the other end using it. So being able to keep that in mind when you're leveraging some of these AI tools is really, really key.
Anyone else have anything? I actually have a little bit to add. I think like Ashley nailed my point of view as well as we're thinking about, you start talking about natural language search or chatbots or agents, right? Like very quickly, part of this becomes buzzwords, part of it becomes like what's net real and value. But as I'm thinking about like how, the agentic approach and how we're thinking, as Andrew mentioned, as Sean have talked about, like that proactive value that we're providing to the users, it's that humans are nevertheless still very much in the driver's seat and dictating how they want to interact with the AI, with the intent that the AI is producing those efficiency gains, value add, very clear value to your use cases in the business, and really serving as a companion rather than this override functionality. That's very important to us as we think about really net new offerings where we are making this transition to offer more AI capabilities, and also as we think about the incorporation of customer feedback and how people are onboarding to sort of next gen of products in general. And of course, like that point of view may change and evolve as certain innovation evolves over time, but really, you know, humans still being in that trust but verify seat, exploiting the value without feeling like there's an override or a way that where there's somehow the way that an agent or a component of AI is leading the show. That's not our intent whatsoever, and very much aligned with how Ashley just spoke to how users are thinking about it, how we're thinking about it from a product development standpoint. All right, let's look. Um, all right, Andrew, maybe this one here. And in terms of what are some common misconceptions, and Andrew or anyone else, common misconceptions about AI tools in legal and how you think like people could overcome them?
I have two answers. One, I'd say, and this is kind of a simple one, I think we all hear and talk about and have debates about, is that AI is going to come take over all of our jobs. I don't think that's true. I mean, maybe someday, maybe in our lifetime. I think we're a far ways away. And I think kind of to Ashley's point here, we're much more focused on human machine collaboration than like
Yeah.
machines taking over, right? Hopefully we can remove more of the busy work and the low value work to enable you to focus on more high value work. So from my perspective, I don't see, products coming out there just complete game changers that everyone's like scrambling to get because now they don't need a legal team anymore. I think we're very far away from that. The second piece I would add, and this is just kind of tripling down on something we've said a few times here, is that ChatGPT, these tools that you hear about are a one size fits all solution that you could, be in a legal department or be in a finance department and leverage these tools and get the kind of output that I guess you would expect and desire. I think they're kind of, jack of all trades, master of none right now, and you're going to see a lot of companies popping up around this vertical path of, we specifically focus on these use cases, and it's much better, much higher quality with a higher level of accuracy than what you're getting from the more the broad spectrum approach. So those would be my two. I don't know if anyone has other things to add.
Cool. Maybe time for one last question. We'll sneak one in and then I'll wrap. All right. So this is a two-parter, but I think it fits quite well to this conversation. So the first part is, will LinkAI at any point be able to create documents like amendments based upon docs already within Analyze? And the second part of it, because I know we've internally been having a lot of this conversation, is, will drafting rules at any point be replaced simply by comparing, for example, a third party NDA with our own NDA and generating a red line? This would remove the need. Basically, it could change slash remove the need for drafting rules. Thoughts?
I would say yes.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So, yeah, we do clause extraction today, so
Yeah,
this is something we've been thinking about for a long time. We have a clause library as well, which is, before the days of thinking about playbooks to assist drafting. So we do clause extraction, and we are thinking about ways to, auto populate a playbook automatically, which then feeds the drafting rules, in a way that, doesn't, count on you going in and populating it all manually yourself.
awesome. All right. As I said, that was the final question. I'm so appreciative of everyone's engagement here, through your attendance as well as your engagement in Q&A. We did get a question that was relative to like what's going, in terms of product development, our areas of focus, and I think this actually like is a nice way to land it. Obviously, we're here to talk about LinkAI, demystify AI, talk about AI trends and what's on top of our mind for us, how our customers are using AI to date, how they're thinking about it in the future. And what's great is we're really thinking about how AI is infused at the core of our offering, and ways we're thinking about all of those distinct currently mission critical use cases to date, that our customers are leveraging LinkSquares for, but really thinking about ways to just continue to use AI as well as get customer feedback to enrich, enhance, modernize the overall experience of the product, make it powerful, again, with LinkAI being a core cornerstone to that, but also ways to really unlock value and streamline. So there's a lot more to come, where AI meets user experience, where AI meets new user interfaces, where, as a few of us talked about, AI meets new tools that we're excited to get into your hands and get out into the market. So much more to come. It's been really a tremendous time being with you all. And what I would say is, as people are interested in more, please feel free to request a demo to follow up with us. We'll also be sending an email out to you all, with additional follow-up information. So really, LinkAI is, again, as I said, next gen and cornerstone to so much more to come with LinkSquares. And we're incredibly excited to keep sharing with you all along this journey. And there also are a number of other webinars and events that we're doing in very short order after this one that I would recommend and be highly, highly excited if you were to check out. Final minute before we drop, any takeaways any of our panelists want to give before we end the webinar?
Yeah, so I saw this on LinkedIn the other day and it really resonated with me, as someone who loves AI and superheroes. It's that AI is not here to replace lawyers, it's really here to give us superpowers. And I think the more that we can lean into that, the better off we'll all be.
I nailing it in terms of a place to land it. So I love that message. I hope you all love it too. And just again, thank you so much. And thank you to our panelists, Sean, Andrew, Ashley, and Kim. It was an amazing hour to be with you and to be with all of our attendees. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.